Hello. Now we are going to start and revising the third unit, that is system requirements engineering. So in this system requirement engineering, we had seen the requirements engineering, we had seen the functional and non-functional requirements, engineering design process and process engineering, logistic management and risk management, and the requirements specification. So in the requirements engineering, the main purpose we had seen that the it has to satisfy the stakeholders' need and requirement. In the requirements engineering, it is being expressed in terms of textual statements, views, and all these system requirements are could be of a functional or non-functional requirement like safety, security, or reliability. So the functional requirement could be there, non-functional requirement could be there. Then you have elicitation technique. Means elicitation technique means collecting information of a stakeholder requirement. Thereafter, we'll have seen the definition given by the ISO, that identification of product, process, and operations for characterizing the some behavior aspects or design that has been required and should be acceptable to the stakeholders and all the users. Then it has the process rule or state that could be shown with the system blocks and could have different state, and there are various level of abstraction for the stakeholder requirement, system requirement, and system entity requirements. Thereafter, there are various types of requirements like functional, performance, or constraint requirement. Then you have the functional requirement that is having the qualitative or system functional behavior that are being expected, and the tasks and the operation that are being expected from the system. Then performance requirement is actually quantitative requirement, and how well the system should work and function. So like rate of change, velocity, then usability is also one of the measure, like the quality of system, the measurement, effectiveness and efficiency measurements are there, the metrics are there. Then interface requirement, that how well the interface, internal or external interface has been designed. Then the operational requirement, that what is the condition or the property that is being required for a system to be operating. Then modes of the requirement states, that a state should be there, what multiple versions are there for a system. Adaptability for particular system should be there, that potential growth and scalability of that system should be there. Logistics management, that logistics requirements are there for the continuous supply of utilities. Some sustainable properties or support systems are required for training purpose, documentation, packaging, handling, shipping, etc. And physical constraints are there, like constraints for weight, volume, and dimension. Design constraints are there. There are various system requirement constraints, like the designer should have some imposing immovable boundaries or limits. Then the environment constraint, like the surrounding of a system, that how the environment of that system should be, so that the system should be designed according to that environment. And policy and regulation constraint, that what are the policy and regulation of organizations, so that the system operation and performance should behave according to that. Then the cost and schedule of that constraint, that what are the cost and benefits. Then you have the system shall incorporate some legal or provide some system entity with some legal and incorporation behaviors. So there are various examples that we have seen in this slide, that data shall be maintained online on the online repository. So the society would like have political or economical constraints, natural constraints like wind, rain, temperature, dust. Then induced or self-induced environment could be their motion, shock, or the electromagnetism, thermal. Then labor policies could be there, like there are various regulatory agencies are there, and health and safety issues are there. Then there are various component and systems are there which have the multiple cost. Then expectation of the delivery. Then the system requirements documentation is there. What are the system requirement artifacts? So documents are there, justification documents are there for the traceability purpose. Then requirements are there like databases, traceability, analysis, rational, and some decision making should be there. So all type of documents are there, artifacts are there. Then what artifacts like internal or external interface requirement documents are there that actually tells about the interface of the systems. Then stakeholder requirements are there, requirements we had studied that the end user, system manager, system owner, and external stakeholders are the type of stakeholders. Then the what are the problems or requirements are being translated into some engineering oriented language, and that being gone for the architecture definition and design and verification purpose. Then the basis of all these things is requirement is system architecture or design activity. Then integration and verification activity, it helps in validation and stakeholder acceptance. Then communication between various technical staff that actually interact throughout the project. So all these things would be helped by the requirement analysis. Then system requirements engineering could be of like functional or non-functional requirements that we'll see next. Requirements engineering process that will see in the this unit, and requirement elicitation, requirement specification. Then in the next section we'll see requirements validation as the part of system development, and then requirements changes as the part of system evolution. Then there are two type of requirement like users requirement and systems requirement. So we had studied in detail about the systems requirement. What are the functional and non-functional requirements? We'll study. So there are various statements that how the system should work or react for a particular input, and how should it behaves and generate some particular output in a situation. Then maybe system what to do, what not to do, functionality that the system should must perform, that the expected user, how many expected users should be there, what is the type of system we are talking about. All these things are being answered in the functional requirements. Functional requirement is basically a document that contains a functional requirement statements that is of high level statement what system should do. Then the requirements described as a service, what system service should be provided. Then document requirement, domain requirements, like there are various constraints for doing that particular operation in a domain. Then the second type of requirement is non-functional requirement. This is even more important some of the times, that there are various constraints on the service, and functions should be offered such as timing constraints are there. There are various type of development constraint or standard constraints. So all these things are need to be mentioned in the non-functional requirement. Then the non-functional requirement also mentions about the individual features or the services provided by the whole system. So when we talk about non-functional requirement, we talk about whole system. Then actually non-functional requirement defines some property constraint like reliability, response time, and storage requirement. Then the non-functional requirement may be more critical as compared to the functional requirement. If these some non-functional requirements are not met, then the whole system may become useless. So the process and development requirement must be specified such non-functional requirement. So the constraint between input output is an example that how the non-functional should be written for input output of a system. Then non-functional requirement gives you effect of whole architecture, not of the individual component. Means non-functional requirement is for the whole architecture. Then you have the examples we have seen, like the performance requirement, the organizational and minimization of the communication between components. Then single non-functional requirement should be there, like security requirements are there that generate the requirements restriction and existing requirements. Then product requirements are there, like the requirement for the product to behave, how it has to behave. Then what should be the speed of the execution, reliability of that system. Then organizational requirements are like organizational policy, procedures, and there are various standards of an organization that need to be met out in the requirement. Then external requirements are there, that requirements arises due to the factor and the external behavior policies of the development processes are there, like interoperable requirements are there, legislative requirements are there. Then we had discussed about the requirements and completeness and consistency of some requirement. Like the all the requirements should must be complete, means it has been stated properly with a complete definition and meaning. It has to be consistent, that there is no conflict between different requirements. Then in particular some of the system or the environmental complexities are there, which are not possible to be having complete and consistent. So these type of requirements should must be there in the document. Then engineering design process we had seen, process engineering we had seen. So in this we talked about, first there are various series of steps that are required for engineering a particular function of that product or system or process. Then the process is basically highly interactive, that some of the process actually repeat itself again and again, and there are various decision making required during these processes, and this require optimization of some resources that are for the from the decision making. Then feasibility, whether that project is possible to do or not possible to do, potential of that project. So all these things are need to be tested. Then the requirements engineering, like processes of the application, it depends on application domain. Then there are various organizational development or requirements possible. So there are four basic requirement processes, like requirement elicitation, then there are analysis, then validation and management are possible. So there are basically four important generic activity for the requirements engineering process. Then the like elicitation, analysis, validation and management. Then requirement engineering is basically interactive process that actually process to be interleaved, means combined together. So in this requirements engineering, the interactive process is basically for the requirement elicitation, specification and validation. And the requirement elicitation is one of the interactive process that actually have the spiral activity, that for the discovery of requirement, requirement classification and organization, requirement negotiation and documentation at the final. So the elicitation is basically interviewing, asking about the how the ethnography is there, interviewing the stakeholders, so the user can tell about its story and scenario that are required to be discussed and facilitated and maintained in a system. Then the system requirement basically start this spiral will start from the business requirement specification, that actually go for the feasibility study, whether that system is feasible or not. Then the user requirement elicitation are there. Then user requirement specification need to be maintained. Then various prototyping should be there for that product. Thereafter system requirement elicitation be there. Then the specification again being developed for the system requirement, and modeling is done there. Thereafter the whole process is being reviewed, and the final system requirement document is being created. So there are fundamentally three quadrant: that system requirement elicitation, system requirement specification, and requirement validation. Then the system requirement was being generated. So the process and activity basically require four steps: requirement discovery, in which stakeholders are being discussed and interacted for the requirements, and domain are being explored. Then the requirement classification and organization, whether that requirement and the organization is coherent with the cluster. Then prioritization of those requirement, negotiation between those requirement, then resolving the conflicts. So at the end you'll have what requirement specification. So requirement are like document and input was being generated, that is having round or the spiral structure that we have seen: requirement discovery, requirement classification and organization, requirement prioritization and negotiation, requirement specification. Then process engineering is one of the discipline or the part or subject that is being dealt in the industries, and understanding and the fundamental principles, laws of what is engineering process, that how to transform the input raw material into the product that could be useful for the society and the industry. So what it focuses this process engineering focuses on design, control, operation, optimization and intensification of processes. So this is how the process that these pipelines are there. So this is what process engineering. So process engineering basically have four steps that we had seen. Four, like process designing, synthesis of network and graphic structuring, seat optimization, product designing was there. Process designing was there. Then process controlling, whether there are various techniques like statistical process controlling, process monitoring, collection management, method measurement controlling, etc. Then the process operations are there, whether that network should be followed, time variant planning and optimization should be there, real time optimization, flexibility. Then the process economics, like the whether that software has been broken into the multiple parts, values, margin or scales. And then process engineering basically have a process data analytic that actually apply data analytics and machine learning for learning about the process and engineering. Supporting the tools are like sequential modular simulation, like equation based process simulations are there, artificial intelligence and expert systems are there, large scale non-linear programmings are there, differential algebraic equation tools are there, then non-linear programming tools are there, global optimization tools are there, uncertainty tools are there, QFD tools, functional development tools are there, cost estimation tools are there. Then what we'll see in the process engineering is process flow diagram, which actually draw the process pipelining, major equipment and items that are required, connection with the other systems, major bypass and recirculation, recycling of the stream. Then operational data like temperature, pressure, mass flow, rate and density is the operational data. And often there are various streams and references that actually require mass balancing. Then process stream naming are there. So this is an example for the flow diagram of a typical amine treatment process in the industrial plant. So what it does take make of water and the gas, and then the whole process will take place. And this is how the process flow diagram are being represented. So this is an example for this to understand. And in your domain or discipline, you define the process like this with some diagram or something. Then you have the flow chart for the development of cycle for the software development purpose, where you have designing of the system, coding, and that code need to be tested. If that error was belonging to some design error, then you need to go for the design change, that the design should be need to be changed. If that design error was not, if the error is not belonging to design error, then you directly go for the coding and correct that bug. And then in the process flow diagram, so there are various thinking involved, vision, ideas are involved, research are involved. Then you can create some process for designing and inspiration, brainstorming. So basically, we'll see system modeling. That system modeling is the process for developing an abstract modeling with some each models that are being presented in the different views or perspective that actually represent the system. So the system modeling basically involves the meaning and the representation of the system that are being used for some kind of graphical notions, and that the example of these are unified modeling language. So system modeling helps you to do the analysis and understand the functionality of the system and modeling that are being used for communication with the customer. Then the examples are like UML diagram types, like activity diagrams are there, which actually shows that the activity of process and the data. Use case diagrams are there, which actually interact between system and its environment, that what are the use cases of that system should be. And sequence diagram, what are the actors involved with that system and what are the components of that system. Then state diagram, that how that state of that diagram means internal or external event takes place. Then you have this type of use case diagram that we had discussed, that there are various actors here, medical, nurse, manager, doctor, so they have various operations that they can perform. Then the sequence diagram could involve like this, that these are the sequence that we had discussed in the process, and these process are being called out. And then the state diagram for the microwave oven we had discussed. Then we had discussed about the logistics management. So what it belongs to the science of planning and implementation management, that actually the operation should be sustainable. Then the management flow of things from one point of origin to the another point of origin, that the requirement should be met by the customer or operation. Then the resource management should be like tangible goods are there, which could be non-perishable goods like material or the equipment supplies are there. Perishable goods are like the food, and other consumable items are also possible. And the military logistics as an example for this. Then sustaining means how much a system could be sustainable. That's the purpose of the such logistics, to support the system, that it keep on working and sustaining its function for providing some end user. Then it affects the performance measure, like availability, compatibility, interoperability, transportability, reliability, maintainability. And it also affects the effort and cost for the life cycle cost, system operation maintenance. Then it also affects the system environment, manpower, human safety, etc. Then logistic management is a management field, or it do for the plan and implementation, controlling something, process or service good flow in the efficient manner, that actually relate to move that goods or something from one point of origin to the another point of consumption to meet some customer requirements. So there are two parts in this supply chain management and supply chain engineering. So in the computer network, packet transfers are there. Like packets are being traveling from one machine, one computer to another computer. Then these packets will come back to from the original packets to the another packet. And we had also seen the video that how the packet travel in the actual internet world. So this video you can go and see. Then we have we can also see some space transport logistic that is very complicated in nature. So rocket science, you had heard that word. So this is the level of science like rocket science. We this type of things also need logistics management. Then the drone can launch the satellite, and the Raven X drone was being claimed by the A1 that it believes the biggest drone that can even launch satellite from the drone instead of that Earth, and the drone can fly up very high and send the satellite to the low Earth orbit. We have seen video for that as well. You can go and see that video of that drone. Then the risk management, that what are the risks that are being involved in the process of systems engineering and system management. So risk management basically deals with risk and planning, that how to optimize, minimize that project risk. Then the project manager actually access and measures the effect of the project and monitor those risks and take action accordingly. Then what are the anticipated risks involved, how to understand the impact of these risks, the project and business should be involved, then how to take steps to avoid such risk. Thereafter, there are two dimensions of risk classification, like technical risk or the organizational risk. What affect the risk? So there are three type of risk. Project risk that actually affect the resource and schedule, then product risk, that quality and performance of that system. Then business risk are also possible, that organization is developing and procuring some system. So you have to deal with, manage those risks and identify those risks, find out solutions and do the planning. So this is the process of risk management, like risk identification, whether that is belongs to project, product or business. Then you need to analyze that risk, what are the consequences of that risk. Then you have to do the risk planning, that draw some idea to avoid that and minimize the effect of that risk. Then risk monitoring is required, that how to monitor that risk throughout the project. Then you have to do the risk identification, that whether that individual project manager experiences that, how to deal with that risk, how to identify that risk. Then there are various checklists for the common kind of risk that need to be maintained and identified during the project, like technological risk, organizational risk, people risk, requirement risk, estimation risk. Then risk analysis, accessing means measuring that probability and seriousness of each risk, probability of happening, whether it's very high, low, moderate, etc., high. So all these probabilities are being measured. And what are the consequences, whether it's catastrophic, serious, tolerable, or inside. Then various plannings are required for controlling such risk, that is related to risk of development of strategy and managing that risk, and avoiding that strategy, avoidance strategies is also followed. Probability that the risk will arise and will be reduced, minimization strategies are required. Then how to that risk could be reduced, this is minimization strategy. How to avoid that risk or reduce the probability of happening that risk is avoidance strategy, minimization strategy. So these are the two strategies: avoidance, that risk do not occur at all, and minimization strategy that reduce the impact and probability impact of that risk. Then contingency plans, if the risk has been occurred, then how to deal with that risk. So these type of plannings are required. before the project. Then the risk monitoring is the process that keep on going during the whole project, that how to assess that, identify the risk regularly, identify decisions need to be taken, more happening of that, probable happening of that risk or not. Also ex- managing and measuring the effect of that risk due to changes. Then the requirements of the risk discussion and the management process during the whole meetings. Then in the end, we had seen that the requirement specification, that the requirement are being written down in the specification are like the process of writing down the user and systems requirement in the requirements documentation. Then user requirement is basically understanding the need of the end user customer who actually deals with non-technical background. Then systems requirement are the detailed requirement that actually require technical information, and the requirement can be of contract or some system development, and that all have to be complete as much as possible. So the nature language specification, that nature, it has to be requirement have to be written in the nature language along with some diagrams and tables. So it is also expensive and time consuming, cost consuming, and you need to express that properly, intuitively, and universal, how well you can write and explain, and the it could be understood by the user and customer. Then the problem arises when the requirements are not precise enough, then whether that requirement is ambiguous and cannot be interpreted well. Then the guidelines for writing the requirements, there are various guidelines for the project to project, that it has to follow some standard format. It has to use the language in a consistent way. Text highlighting should be there, that the important part and important requirement should be highlighted. And avoid the systems jargon that requires expertise to understand. Then it includes the explanation and why that requirement is necessary. Then the problems with the nature language is lack of clarity. It's very imprecise and difficult for reader to read and writer to write in a precise way. Requirement is confused because of the whether it's functional or non-functional requirement. Requirement amalgamation, that several requirement may be expressed together, so it's not a good way to write. Then there is form-based specification, that you have definition of entity and functions. You have particular input, whether that they come from where they come from, the description of output, that from where they go to, then the information about the systems and its entities, then description of the action to be taken, what are the pre and post conditions, side effects of a particular function. Then all these things are to be written on the form specification or tabular specification, like the it's both actually supplements the nature language. So you have a particular user defined actions or alternatives for that actions could be written in the tabular specification. For example, rate of change of blood sugar level would actually help to do the tabulation of that insulin requirement at different scenario. Then the requirement evolution and change management. So various problem analysis and change specifications are there, like change analysis and costings are there. So the change implementation was being affected. So initial understanding of the problem, initial requirement, what are these changes, and understanding those problems, and then the change requirements happen. Then identification that problem analysis, change specification, then change analysis and costing was been done. Then change implementation was been done for the revised requirement. Then we summarize the whole chapter like this, that functional requirement should be stated what system must do, and non-functional requirement actually for the emergent property, that the whole system, that how the whole system should work and behave according to the constraints in the system. Then all the things are being written down in the requirement specification. means documenting all the requirements in one document. Then requirement validation, that means checking whether that requirement is valid, consistent or complete or not. We'll see in the next systems requirement. Then business organizational technical changes are there that actually leads for the systems requirement. Then requirement managements are being possible for managing and controlling these changes. So we'll see this in the system evolution and maintenance part. Then thanks. I hope this revision would be helpful for you, and we'll see the next unit